Well, it looks like the perpetually offended folks of Reset Era have gotten their way and forced another game developer to remove something from a game that was affecting a grand total of 0 people. Now, this
So he's arguing about. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the website. The forum is Reset Era. It's a newer, um, basically a forum talking video games and some pop culture stuff. That was a what was the site they came out of before? There was some site that was real big on the internet in this sphere that ran into trouble when the creator was Me Too'd. And so, anyways, the Reset Era group is largely those forum members that made the migration away from that site because of the shitty things the owner did to this new site. And so this is a site that is common for like these game critics and stuff like this that are anti SJW. Um, so if they're they get their ire here. I don't know if they have any kind of sway or anything like that. It's just that you're gonna find out here that they sent a kind of a complaint to the company, kind of thing about some of the more problematic aspects of Persona 5. Yeah, it's so it's kind of their beating bag and stuff like that to beat up on these people. I don't know. I've been over there. It seems fine. Um, but these guys, they want it to be, politic. They want it to be the poll boards on 4chan everywhere you go online. And I'm sorry, it's just not. It's a ridiculous thing to want.
topic is bigger than just this game because I want to discuss how censorship advocates like to gaslight and how they like to scapegoat, um, well, anybody who fights back against censorship. Because, to be honest with you, I fight against censorship in video games and in modern media uh, in its purest form. Any form of censorship, I have to stand against, even if it's something that, sort of makes me uncomfortable. I don't think that
I mean, we all know that's bullshit, right? I mean, we all know the She-Ra complaints that he had, right? He thinks that's censorship and it's not, and he wants to do all that other stuff. And we'll see what he claims is gaslighting, and it's really bad. But yeah, it's like he doesn't say he supports the things he doesn't like. Like, where was his defense of who was the what was the film that got the conservatives got pulled? Um, the Hunt, right? Is that, or is it something longer than The Hunt? But as far as I know, I haven't seen him make a video about conservatives censoring this or anything like that in support of that. So it's just bullshit. And then some of his other things he thinks is censoring, like the She-Ra design or his complaints over the design of all this other stuff. So he's not against complaining about stuff he doesn't like, right, and wanting it to change to fit what he wants. And so if somebody else has that position, he'll say, hey, there's censorship. They're pro censorship and all this other stuff. It's like they're not. Now, I'll go in defense of the quartering. There is one thing he's come out against what a lot of his audience is for and against, and that is the defense of porn. He had that big spat with Gab. So that's the one kind of thing that I'll stand behind and say, hey, good job, Jeremy. Right? Standing up to your fans that make your money and actually, having a spine for once and taking a position and sticking by it. So, but that's about the only credit he gets from me.
there's a middle ground in terms of being a free speech proponent. And so, therefore, I defend cringeworthy movies like The Hunt. And I
Well, I guess maybe he did. I mean, maybe he did defend it, but I don't remember seeing it at all. So, all right, if he did, Good on you, Jeremy.
defend stuff that maybe I feel like, should it be censored? I don't know, because you just can't pick and choose your battles. You're either for free speech or you aren't, and the sweaty, perpetually offended, jobless losers that live on the Reset Era forum have.
Ugh. Now I know he has a job, but I mean, ugh, that you fit that description far more than I would guess anybody on the Reset Era forum does. I mean, but it's just like I love somebody that's like him, that looks like him, that all this other stuff to go and kind of use that argument against other people, right? It's really weird. Yeah, yeah, and I get that, right? So it's the whole click hole thing. The person you hate actually said something good thing, right? It's you know, ugh, you got to make that face about when some of these guys say it there. But yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, and he's like I said, this complaining and stuff he does about those things, Captain Marvel or the woke agenda and things he wants out, right? That's censorship, in his view and understanding of censorship, right? Oh yeah, I called out half his audience there. Yeah, it's funny. Like that he's going to use those statements that probably apply more to him and his audience than they do to the people on Reset Era forum as an insult. I don't like, this is perfect for the Lauren Chen lack of self-awareness clip that she has. Self-awareness, 0. But that's Jeremy for you.
Bullied another developer, and this time it's Persona in a remake, and of course the video games. I'm sorry, Persona 5 Royale. The games industry is celebrating some censorship. Now, before I get into this, I want to explain how people will push back, and I'll show you examples of it. Okay, because if you believe in free speech and protecting the art that is video games or movies or music, then first of all, I hope that you'll leave a like on this video, you'll leave a comment down below, and that you'll share it out there so that we can teach other people how to look for some of these gaslighting techniques. The most popular one was one that we saw with the Final Fantasy VII reboot.
All right, so if you're not familiar with this, he's going to go into it, but there was big outrage over... there were some comments made that were translated from Japanese to English from the developers that people took as they're shrinking Tifa Lockhart's... is it Lockhart? I forget. But Tifa's breast size. And we'll get into it. He doesn't bring it up. He doesn't do this stuff here. So if anything, I wouldn't argue this hard or anything there. But if anything is going to be gaslighty about this situation, it's going to be how Jeremy presents it. Now, I'm not going to say that it is gaslighting necessarily. It's just Jeremy lying, right? It's not anything like that. But if you're going to use the term or try to bring it over to this discussion, it's going to fit more of what Jeremy's doing here than what the critics. Yep, the vagina bone thing, I remember that. Although that might be a meme that was lost in translation, an older meme, right? So that might be something that was people that weren't familiar with it. So there was I forget what anime it was, but there was a bad fan translation of an anime back in like 2011, 2012 that said something along the lines, couldn't you pick clothes for her that showed her vagina bone better, right? And so it was a poor thing. So I guess maybe in that whole, the person who said, oh no, they censored her breasts, and then this is for a different game, I don't know what game it was for, but then her vagina bone as well, the vagina bone stuff might have been referring to that older joke from about like 4 or 5 years earlier. But a lot of those things on those kind of weird jokes are, you can kind of bring over to the sallow thing, right? So a lot of the people that are probably liking and sharing, if you remember the what's his name, Virgil Thomas from Chapo Trap House, doing the picture of Sallow and saying it belonged to, or was of Buttigieg's campaign after party. And, you know, you take these obscure jokes sometimes, like, and I don't know how you turn that into a joke, and I don't want to get too much on a tangent on that. Maybe we can talk about it later, but um, the weird joke that's supposed to be in there that might have made it funny if you understood the reference, but that most of the people that were sharing it around weren't sharing it because of that reference. They were sharing it because, hey, they agreed with this thing. So that's where you get, like, the vagina bone thing being funny. Even if it was a weird, you know, so all the anti-censorship people that were, like, sharing it and, like, yeah, they're censoring the vagina bone, you know, that unironically think that's the thing, even if it's, like, an obscure joke kind of thing. Kind of like what's going on with the feminist hate Sonic the Hedgehog stuff.
The ethics committee. If we look back on the splintering, you could say, here's some quotes from the developers. We wanted Tifa to have abs, so she now has more of an athletic body type. The ethics department at Square Enix also said we had to tighten her chest. It doesn't look unnatural and all the intense fighting. Because of that, we added black thigh highs and a tank top. Ethics.
So it's here. So what's being said, you know, in this mistranslation that he's leaving here, is he leaves out, he's not going to talk about this editor's note down here, indicates returns to the tightness and design of Tifa's clothing, not her chest size. So he's still pushing this as being about changing the chest size of Tifa, when it's like, nope, she's got abs, she's more of an athletic, sporty type. So if she's going to be that, she's not going to run around with her tits hanging loose, right? Kind of thing in her shirt stuff. So it's going to be, you know, a sports bra put on. And that's all that's being said here when talking about the unnatural movements and stuff like that. That's it. And they're thinking this is censorship of her size of her titties.
Department. While some nuance could be lost in translation, it's particularly ridiculous to think that the existence of buxom women is unethical.
And he skips over the part of that line. You see that? Skips right over. Goes to a completely different article. Right? And does not read what's on the bottom. I don't know how his fans don't catch it and call him out on it, but I mean, I don't know. It's really weird.
Undoubtedly will disappoint some Tifa Lockhart fans, and to know that Square Enix is self-censoring their original version of the character by covering up her legs and tightening, think more compressing, shrinking, an unethical chest. And what is the response you get from people on Twitter? And like, oh, you can't, gamers mad because they can't jerk off to her video game.
I mean, that's a lot of it. Anytime you argue about changes to outfits or anything like that, it's wholly, I mean, that they can't jerk off to it bit is wholly accurate to a vast, vast majority of those people. It's not, I mean, it's not a question. But he's going to turn that into critics gaslighting gamers, which is just ludicrous.
Make no mistake about it, this is a way to gaslight, redirect, and straw man, real.
It's not gaslighting, right? Maybe in some instances, for some people, it's a straw man of why they're upset. But when you complain only about that instead of what other changes that are made, it kind of seems that way, right? So this is the actions speak louder than words thing, right? You may say that, oh, I don't want it changed at all, or any of that stuff. But then what you're not doing is you're not doing it for, like, the abs, right? So if I haven't looked and seen the updated changes or anything like that, I'm waiting until the Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out. But if she's got abs now in this one, she didn't have abs before, at least in the old character art. You didn't complain about that. It's only that, hey, she's wearing a sports bra. Right? So this isn't gaslighting, and it's probably not strawmanning because you're complaining literally about things not being sexy enough for you. And you see that with the newest Mortal Kombat. There's a lot of complaints that, oh no, for like this new game, hey, we want to do a different costume design. And the costume design was a little more practical than what they were showing. And so it was tweaked, and it's like, all right, you're only bitching because they're not running around, in their underwear and fighting. Yeah, no, it's been tweaked the whole time, right? It really is just this kind of stuff. And so hey, you can't jack off to it anymore is very literally what 95%, 99% of the people complaining about those changes are, right? And they're lying to you if they tell you otherwise.
Silly.
Uh, no, it isn't. Like, oh, I know, and I think the costume looks fine on her. I think the costume looks fine. There's not a major change.
Beat their meat to Tifa Lockhart, I'm sure. But that's not why people fight back against this type of censorship in video games. They don't stand...
Yeah, it is. 95, 99% of the time it is. Right? When the big game that started a whole lot of this kind of censorship stuff, or this argument for censorship that they use, is the Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball, right? That's the one they want. And that's from all the basis this whole censorship thing is coming from. They'll argue that, hey, oh, they can't be sexy. We just saw in the Tim Pool video, right? They're making them frumpy. They can't be sexy. They can't do all this other stuff. So it literally is, hey, you can't beat your meat to it. So I'm upset about it, right? I mean, if anything, this is Jeremy trying to gaslight the critics. But again, I wouldn't use it. It's just him being disingenuous and dishonest about his position. Oh, I know. But there has been an outrage over how Sony did him. Where she was much more proportional back when the remakes came out. And they're shitting on... Well, I don't know if it was Sony that did it. I forget. It's a Square Enix company that did it. But anyways, and so they're kind of loving some of the changes that the new one has done. But yeah, they still had bitching that her tits weren't big enough.
And for any of it. And so it's so easy for these pro-censorship blue check marks to get you off track by saying that. And that it is not a...
I mean, they're not getting you off any track that you're not already on, Jeremy. Right? Like, it's, oh, She-Ra looks like a boy. A 14-year-old character doesn't have big tits, right? That's literally what you're arguing over. And it's what you're going to be known for. Oh, no, he's not an absolutist at all. Right? There's shit he'll say and think you can argue against when it comes to free speech. It's funny.
A good faith argument, if that's what their response is. And you'll see tons of examples.
And there's the good faith, bad faith stuff again that's being used incorrectly. Right? Right? You're not being good faith in your argument, Jeremy, at all. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Of that, of course, just look through the threads. And if we look at the IGN article itself, Persona 5 Royal will change phobic scenes for Western release.
This is a weird thing he has now. Like, he self-censors these other things while he's talking. Like, I mean, I thought you were a free speech absolutist, Jeremy. Right? Why are you censoring yourself? Come on, quit being anti-censorship, or quit being pro-censorship. It is. It's a habit of his now, right? It's from these recent videos. I think he's trying to get by YouTube algorithm catching him saying that stuff, but where's your standing up, huh? There's no backing down. There's no middle ground when it comes to free speech, right? You just contradicted yourself here when you won't say the word homophobic.
Which means, by the way, they're not changing it over there. They're only changing it for the U.S. so they don't get backlash from nobody. Reset Era Forum, who, if they all chipped in $1, couldn't afford to buy the video game.
I mean, you're the one that's saying Reset Era Forum is the one that got them to bend their knees, right? I don't know what... they either have all the power or they have no power to get this stuff changed.
Atlas confirmed to IGN that the beach scene, among others, will be updated in Royal after fan backlash. Again, who?
Your whole point of your goddamn video is to argue that Reset Era did it, right? I mean, I don't get this. This is... What the hell is going on? Yeah, they have some say, and I'll dig up the thing they talked about. I'll have to go dig it up. I don't have it sit and wait, but at the end of going through this video, I'll dig up what their requests were. They weren't anything ridiculous.
Atlas confirmed that certain scenes of Persona 5 will be, which were considered phobic by nobody and offensive by many fans, disagree by the way, will be updated and altered in the Western release of the game. Now, look, Persona 5 fans, this is what you have to do as much as you might not be able to, and I guess it's okay if you just, really want to enjoy your games, but you just can't buy it. You have to stand up against this by not purchasing the game.
So what happened to freedom of speech, Jeremy? Huh? What happened to their freedom of speech? Right? They can say what they want, and if they want to sell it, right? You're so big on appealing to the fans, right? Do what the fans want and stuff like that. And when you make your movies, you make your games, and the fans, if we buy in that the fan backlash over it is large enough, that Atlas is at risk of losing money, right? They should make the change, right? According to your own argument and how you support. Now, this came out over... No, this came out after his Sonic stuff. So he's pro, like, hey, change the design here, right? That's, in your position, would be censorship over Sonic. Sonic should have went with the original design. They're free speech, right? But you say they should listen to the fans, and you're glad they did. Hey, go out and support them. They listened to us, right? And now you're telling people, hey, don't support Persona 5 because they're listening to the fans, right? What? This is weird back-ass logic, right, that you're using.
If you want to import a version of it, I suppose... but still understand that you're giving money to a company that bent the knee to a loser forum like Reset Era.
And you're advocating people give money to a company that bent their knee to fucking pieces of shit like you, right? Right? Same argument there, bud. Don't give Sonic money for bending the knee, right? It just shows your hypocrisy.
Speaking of IGN, Persona 5 Royal preview event, Atlas Communications Manager explained that the dialogue in certain scenes, specifically ones involving Ryuji and 2 effeminate male characters, would be changed so that those men were no longer shown in a negative light. Quote, we were actually able to go through some of the lines that players may not have received as well, look at that feedback, and then update it for a current generation. Explaining that they've changed both the first scene in which you meet these characters as well as the notorious beach scene where they are featured later on. The dialogue in these...
So has anybody played Persona 5? I haven't. My brother has it. Maybe I borrow it and we play it on stream at some point. But I've only been able to find the first scene that is considered homophobic. I've looked for the beach scene and cannot find a clip of it on YouTube. Now, maybe that's just because Atlas is pretty um, not litigious because they're not taking them to court, but pretty aggressive in removing down things that infringe their copyright. And so I've seen the first scene, and I see where it's where you get the homophobia from in the original version. Um, there's these two um, gay characters, is the assumption, kind of going, um, kind of like they show sometimes with like female fans going crazy over a certain character in anime. So they kind of do the same thing, and but they're older men and they jump like a teenager instead of like teen girls and little girls kind of stuff when you show that kind of mania. And so they jump him because he's good looking enough and stuff to them there, right? So that there's that, but there's other in the things there. There's a scene that I think it's like tell them to act like men or something like that, where you can make that decision with it's a dialogue option, right? So that's where I think the homophobia is telling um, gay guys to be regular men, right? And so that's pretty homophobic thing to say in there. But it sounds like just hey, beyond just the older gay guys going after kids kind of thing, the pedophilia stuff, right? So that's another homophobic trope. But we'll see what Jeremy says about that coming in.
Scenes have been widely criticized by Reset Era since Persona 5's Western launch for a variety of reasons. Many, again, notice how IGN's writing the word many so often.
I mean, they must be many, right? To get their voice heard out. I mean, I don't know. I hate this idea that they're either, Reset Era is all powerful, or any SJW thing is all powerful, and at the same time, they're nothing. They're weak. Don't bother with them, kind of thing. Right? It's really a weird dichotomy they have.
Who are these fans? Who are the people that actually bought this game and that are concerned about it? How many people are really hurt by this crap? Many fans consider the depiction of these characters to be offensively stereotypical. By the way, I've met plenty of...
Oh, here's the gay friend. Here's the gay friend meme coming up. So he's not homophobic with what he's going to say next.
Impossible to tell gay men, but I've also met some flamin' hot gays. A good friend of mine in the town I live, he literally wears like leggings and high heels to the bar, and he is flaming gay.
Start with you, shall we? You got the mochaccino face, wonderful skin, and the big broad shoulders, okay? Let's put a dead animal on you. Croc skin, buttercream, croc skin, buttercream. What size is the waist? Let's go in. I want to...
Hey! Not your sweetness.
He's got some fire to him.
Honey, cups.
I like that.
Go get the clothes.
Okay, I'll pull some items.
And he's one of my...
Yeah, and those are those kind of stereotypes that people have a problem with, right? When you show them only that thing, right? And those can be problematic. Not that those people don't exist, but, I mean, think the... Yeah, it's getting funny, but yeah. So, like, that scene there is pretty stereotypical. That's the only way they present gays and homosexuals, and it's not... it's usually some of the joke is, uh-oh, here we're going to go in for an excuse to touch a straight man, right? And that's kind of the problem they have with this issue, right? And with this trope. Even when displaying the outward and the flamboyance of certain gay people, right? Is that they're all touchy. They want to touch the straight man. They want to feed into a lot of the homophobic fears that they have. And so that's kind of the complaint with this scene. It'd be one thing if this wasn't like the only time gay people showed up in the game, right? It might go over just fine if you have a plethora of characters of diversity, gay characters shown in different lights and all this other stuff, and then so the stereotypical trope isn't necessarily as harmful, right? That's kind of why these stereotypes and stuff are harmful to people, and why they don't, why there's an issue with it. Why you say, oh, I met guys like that do all that other stuff, and so yeah, he brings up, oh, I've met gay people that it's pretty hard to tell that they're gay. All right, where are their depictions in the media, right? And all that other stuff. And that's where the representation argument comes from. I used to be against kind of some of this art. It's easy to fall into kind of that thinking against this stuff. Thankfully, I never liked Jeremy, right? Even as in my anti-SJW haze, I thought he was a grifter out for the money, right? I didn't like him at all. I watched him a little bit early on, but dumped him not long after because I couldn't stand him.
Favorite people there. And so, I don't understand, the idea that these people don't exist, because of course they do. Presenting the prominent gay characters in Persona 5 as extreme.
So nobody's saying they don't exist, right? It's how they're portrayed and how the stereotype works and what tropes they're playing on.
Aggressive towards a minor, no less. Yeah, there's no history of that.
Ooh, oh boy. Yep, gonna play right on into the homophobic stereotypes. Gonna go right there and just completely blow past it. Which is really weird. He's willing to self-censor and do all this stuff to just not say things like homophobia and stuff like that, but it's really... Yeah. Oh yeah, there's some... for what it is, it's more diverse. I played some of the older Personas. Just never got around to playing 5, didn't have the time. But yeah. Yeah, there is more diversity and stuff in there, but yeah, it's like... so if you're going to do more diversity, you should expect that you're going to have fans that, want to see that stuff and see it portrayed well. And when it's not, there's going to be some backlash to it. That's part of what your fan base is.
And intentionally ridiculous, with intent of making their, quote, weirdness the joke, made worse by the fact that your protagonist provides a similarly insensitive response to their actions. Atlas described the Royal as a chance to make it right.
I'll have to go pull up that scene and see what I can. Like I said, there's not very many for that there, so you can see the action. I forget exactly what it was, but it's something about being a man. Yeah, that's what it is, right? So any of the so he'll come through and say, he does 3 videos a day, right? So he's good for the algorithm, right? He just feeds us through 60, 100,000 views a video, 3 videos a day, and when he doesn't have something to talk about, it's like, all right, fans, tell me what you're pissed about, and I'll talk about it. I mean, that's how he came across the Turtles stuff. He wasn't talking about any of that. And, he's not a fan of a lot of this geek stuff. I'm forgetting the character's name in the Hellboy 2019 reboot, but the Scottish girl, right? So a big thing about a lot of these channels, was it Scottish or Irish? I forget. I'm drawing a blank off the top of my head here, but anyways, they're real big about the redheads. They think there's a big conspiracy about replacing redheads in media and stuff like that. And none of them, not a one, talked about the Hellboy 2019 reboot. Why? Because these guys don't care about Hellboy. They haven't read any of the comics. And so they may have said something about the race bending of... oh my god, why am I drawing such a blank? I read this stuff. The race bending of Damo in the thing. The kind of the were panther character in the movie. So they talked about that because there's backlash from people that said, "Oh no, they're hiring a white actor instead of an Asian actor to play this character who's Asian in the comic books." Right? So that's about the only thing they might have talked about, and they probably would have agreed with it. Stick to the source material, and maybe tried to call out hypocrisy, right? About the only way they would talk about it, but they didn't talk about the girl who's mixed race in the film instead of light skin redhead, right? And it fits in the things because outside of liking the first 2 Hellboy movies, or at least the first one, they don't give a shit about the franchise. They should, or not saying they should, but like people should give a shit about it because it's a well-written series. probably one of the best comic books of the last 30 years, you know, runs. Yeah. So yeah, so they have the whole thing there, and they never caught on to it. Like the perfect thing to bitch about, and be anti SJW over. Why? And why they didn't do it? It's not going to make them money like it will bitching about Captain Marvel. It's really easy to break into this stuff when you have a little understanding of, like, I'm not super well informed a lot of stuff on comics, right? There's things I don't read, things that don't interest me. I tried getting back into when I got into comics, into the regular Marvel DC stuff, and it just didn't fit with me. Not the kind of stories I wanted to read, so I don't read them. But you won't hear me bitch about portrayals and changes and stuff like that to things that I don't care about.
Well, it would be interesting to me. You know, people, I know this video is going to, whack the hornet's nest, and I'm okay with that because I know deep down how I feel. But watch how people will reframe this into, oh, the quartering is homophobic, which obviously
I mean, you did. You kind of went with the homophobic stereotype and kind of pushed that right out there. We just saw it, right? But yeah, this is very much, hey, I got a gay friend, so I'm not homophobic. It's almost as bad as, you guys run across the Ariel Scarcella tweet where she's talking about the wrong kind of trans? But yeah, it's very much this. So Ariel Scarcella is a lesbian YouTube content creator who is very turfy, and so it's a list of all these trans people that do basically anti-trans stuff, right? Especially in the turf, transmedicalism, true scum stuff. And it's the weird, I'm not transphobic because these trans people agree with me. And it's really disgusting over what it is. But yeah, it's what he just did here. And because he has that quote-unquote gay friend, he can say the homophobic stuff and claim not being homophobic. It's dumb. It's not right. It's wrong. Right? But, yeah.
I'm not. Man babies are freaking out. No, I'm not freaking out. I'm just not going to buy the game. It's okay. I have a gigantic backlash. I have plenty of other games to play. It's 100.
Ooh, that was a nice Freudian slip there. I got a giant backlash. I mean, I assume he meant backlog and he just misspoke. Stuff to play, but you like to rile up the backlash. I mean, you care enough to go out and say, hey, don't buy the game. Don't buy the game. It doesn't have what I want in it. Don't buy the game. Right? And I know you don't care, Jeremy, right? Because we've seen you in live settings and other debates, Destiny and Big Joel and stuff like there, where you walk everything back. This is money for you, right? And you brag about it being money. And I guess people are stupid and fine. As long as you're being told what you want to hear, they'll let you make all the money they want off them.
100% not a big deal to me. The only part of this that's a big deal is that they are bending the knee to outrage over something that damaged nobody, that caused no real harm, that was probably not in ill will, but something that maybe was lost in translation. And they're then using that to garner press for their game.
I mean, I don't know. I can't speak a whole lot on Japanese culture and how they want to portray a lot of this stuff. But I mean, maybe I can kind of see what they wanted to go with that. With that scene, is it basically, you know, the fangirls and stuff, you know, that you'll see with girls over guy characters and stuff like that in the thing, and they just did it in a way that wasn't well put together, and it comes across pushing the homophobic stereotypes and stuff. So maybe that was the case from Japanese developers not quite understanding it when they put it together, and it just comes off that way. I doubt it, though. I mean, there's other anime and other things that can take these things. I don't know what's up with Twitch. It does that when I watch it every so often. I gotta go back and fix some stuff. What's going on? I gotta look more and see what's going on, because like my bit rate's holding fine. Everything else is here. No delays, live. So yeah, I don't know what's going on Twitch end. They gotta fix some stuff, because I know I experience when I watch Twitch that it happens. Yeah, it's really weird. I don't get it. When I watch on the app, it does it. But yeah, so like it legitimately could all have been a general misunderstanding, trying to put around and make this scene or make this thing here. But I doubt it. Like I said, there's other anime that do well. Yeah, but I mean, like, so if you want to think, I don't know who's seen Carol and Tuesday on Netflix, the one from the guy behind Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo and stuff like that, and then the company that did like My Hero Academia over on Netflix. I watched it and it seems to be pretty good dealing with LGBT stuff. There's non-binary. I mean, some of it's a little weird. They live on Mars, and like a couple characters are like feminized by living on there or whatever. Some weird reaction to it. It's not a big part about it, but they don't do anything weird or bad about it. They just accept Oh, it's not over there yet? Should be in their Netflix originals. It came out in November last year. Or September, then December they released the second part of the season. But, yeah, there's a character that calls him... there's a couple male characters that are feminized by this weird thing. It's not played anything weird. It's not focused on anymore. It's just kind of like an offhand mention. So you essentially have the main rival character to the other, the two main characters. Mother is a trans woman, and there's another famous singer that goes by non-binary. And talking about there's some dealing with their one promoter has a ex-wife who's now a lesbian, out as a lesbian, and dating. It's all treated pretty well, right? So you can treat this stuff well. And Japanese companies and producers have at times treated this stuff well, right? So it's not, I can't say it's completely ignorance. But yeah, it's an interesting show, Carol and Tuesday. I'd watch it. My only complaint was the 6-episode arc on which basically like X Factor or whatever music competition thing. Like, they did not need 6 episodes for that. That kind of dragged the first season down, but otherwise it was pretty good. And the second part of it gets really political. Like, whew, you want to talk about what these guys would complain about as woke politics? Woohoo! It gets into that, but it's done well. I like it. It's a good show. Hopefully, there's another batch of episodes. I'm not familiar with that one. Might check it out. I don't watch a whole lot of anime. It's just, but when I watch Netflix, I kind of watch Netflix originals, and so when I'm through stuff and it's like, oh, they've got their anime divisions, I'll go watch some of it. Some of it is kind of like really kind of things that I stay away from anime from, just in how they do their things. What is that one I started watching? Maybe it gets better, but what is it? It's not the 7 Elementals. What is it? Something or another there, but it's it did nothing for me after the first couple episodes. I'm like, yeah, that's not it. But
Make no mistake about it. I know that there will be
yes, 7 deadly sins. Yes, that was what I was thinking of. 7 something. Yeah.
people that want to defend Atlas here and that want to defend Persona 5. But the fact of the matter is, they took the coward's way out.
Oh, so let's take Atlas out of it and switch it for whoever made Sonic, right? And let's take, he would not say that's the coward's way out, right? That's the hypocrisy in this video, right? Compared to all his other content, right? It's not the coward's way out to bend to the fans in other instances, but it's the coward's way out to defend these ones. All because you care about standing against certain ideologies that you don't like. So you're pro-censorship in your own definition.
kept it unedited for their home market, but then when they go to the West, they updated it.
Yeah, that's kind of shit. I mean, I'll agree there as a company thing. Change it across the board. Don't just... Yep, I saw the Horum Musco tweet. I probably butchered that. I'm really bad. But I'll have to look it. I'll have to look it up and try it out.
I mean, think about that. They don't really care. They just want your money, and they don't want the backlash. So
Same could be said for Sonic, and you're praising it, and you're saying, give them your money. They listen to us. Give them your money. I thought that was hashtags thing, right? All of them tacos.
why edit it one place and another if Atlas truly believed that there was anything wrong here? They also
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's kind of the thing. They're serving different markets. But, yeah. I don't know if there's anything else here in the last 4 minutes. He kind of rambles. I think we hit all the major points. I think we'll cut her there, cut the video there, and we'll come back. We'll see how Nevada's doing. Yeah. Well, I really have the not Midwestern accent, but what do you want to say? It's not quite as bad as listening to some of the Wisconsin accents, not accents. But yeah, we'll check in on the Nevada caucuses, see what's there. And maybe pull up some of that other stuff for some smaller reactions and talking while we just wait out on the caucuses. Or after that, maybe we go and I show you some real anti-SJW cringe.